So each one of these people are the ones who organized this. Aside from this event, we had 3 days of the UNM Awareness Week, celebrating the farm workers movement in the University of New Mexico. And they're right over here. Raise your hand, you guys. Yeah, they're from... Yep. All right, so...
UNM cap. Good job. Thank you, guys.
And then we have the day of service, Dolores Huerta Day of Service, which happens on Thursday, last Thursday. It happened last Thursday, and we have, what, 350 plus young people, students from different public schools. So they're learning about not just the life of César Chávez, but many other things concerning the farm workers movement and the movement in general, what's going on right now. A lot of environmental workshops that we had. So it's beautiful to see not just you, the public here, but also the young people working and learning and participating in all of the events.
Okay, thank you, everyone. It has been an honor to work with this wonderful group of leaders. This is true community work, folks, and everyone here, everyone standing up here with us has been a volunteer for 25 years and still counting.
And the co-chairs for this year, Forrest Sweet and Pablo Cabrera. Muchísimas gracias. So at this time, we have a special guest.
Everyone, please welcome our new mayor of Albuquerque, Tim Keller.
El alcalde de la ciudad, el nuevo alcalde, Tim Keller.
Good afternoon, Albuquerque. Buenos tardes, Burque. Today, I want to thank you all for being here to celebrate on this 25th anniversary. You know, this is the only César Chávez march in the country that a city actually sponsors and partners with. Isn't that great? And I have to tell you, I am so grateful because I get to introduce a woman who had the courage to stand up against injustice. A woman who has empowered thousands and thousands, if not millions, around America. And, I like that, and she's also a native New Mexican, by the way. I don't know if a lot of you knew that. Now, I think most of you know a little bit about Dolores Huerta. She was an agent of change who knew the value of the power of people, and that power is stronger than money in politics, stronger than hatred, and stronger than that which tries to divide us. She has been a role model for decade after decade when it comes to actually standing up against hatred, against injustice, and against racism. And for us in Albuquerque, we know that fundamental to who we are is always standing up against those things. She is reminding us, and she is reminding Washington, that we should be talking about building bridges instead of walls. Dolores and César Chávez were side by side for all that they did in California and across the rest of the country. They knew there were challenges back then. She also knows there are challenges now. And I think there's a lot we can learn from what happened back in that original struggle with César Chávez, but also the struggles that we face today. And despite all the complaining that we might want to do about the division and the rhetoric that's coming from Washington, D.C., that's coming from other parts of our country, that's trying to tear us apart, we know that now is not the time to complain. What Dolores and César taught us is that now is the time to stand up for what we believe in. She taught us how to pray, how to picket, how to boycott, how to march, how to lead with our hearts, and most importantly, how to take action. So today, right here in our city, we have these challenges. We have a federal government that is trying to take literally our police officers and send them to do what Trump wants to do on the border. That is wrong, and we cannot stand for that. We also have right here a city where we have an opportunity to push back against the anti-immigrant rhetoric. That's why we've got to get the pro-immigrant friendly legislation through our city councilor, Pat Davis, and some others are working on that. I want city council to put that on my desk. We know that we believe in our families, whether our families were born here or they weren't, or our relatives were born here or they are not. Everyone is part of our community. We are one Albuquerque, and that's what we should stand for as a city. And so I believe today, going forward, we actually have the power to follow in the footsteps of César Chávez, of Dolores Huerta. And I'm so glad that today we are fortunate, just 2 days away from her birthday. That's right. That we get to hear from one of the great American heroes of our time. So I want to bring Dolores Huerta up here now. But before we do that, we're gonna welcome her in our own special way that we often do when it's someone's birthday in our community. And we're gonna do this with some help from an excellent singer, because you do not want to hear me sing Las Mañanitas. That is not what you want to hear. So we have a professional to do that, and so I think by the time we're done with that, our Dolores Huerta will be here for us. Okay, we're gonna get a guitar as well. Okay, all right.
Okay, so we're gonna need all of you guys to please sing along with us. Estas son las mañanitas que cantaba el rey David, hoy por ser día de tu santo, te las cantamos a ti. Despierta, mi bien, despierta, mira que ya amaneció. Ya los pajarillos cantan, la luna ya se metió.
Thank you so much, Albuquerque. So I want to say thank you for electing a mayor who is explicitly from day one pro-immigrant, and thank you for welcoming one of our heroes, one of my heroes, Dolores Huerta.
want to thank all of you for being here, for celebrating César Chávez Day again on the 25th anniversary. And let's give another applause for the mayor. Okay? And I want to thank the city of Albuquerque for doing this. You know, you are one of the, probably the only, there may be another one that I'm not aware of it, the only place where the city itself pays for the celebration. How about that? And when I say that, I know that it's your tax dollars that pay for the celebration, but I am sure that you are all very happy to contribute that money, right? I want to thank the committee. We know that this takes an awful lot of work to put the celebration together. So let's give the committee a big old hand also. All right? I see my friend Coralie over here. Coralie. Thank you, Coralie, for doing this, for making all the arrangements. And also, thank you for doing the march. That was a fabulous, fabulous march. I know that you know, the marches are so important because this is the way that we communicate with the rest of the community. Why it's important to remember César, to remember the values that he stood for, the values of commitment, you know, the values of nonviolence. The fact that we always have to remind everybody that the people have the power, and that the people have the power to make the changes. And this is the one thing that we cannot forget. And I do want to mention that I know here at the University of New Mexico, right now, they are trying to get a master's degree in Mexicano studies. So I think we have to call on all of you to make sure that we contact the provost of the college, the leaders of that university, to say it's time. In fact, we're a little late, okay? We're a little late on that. It should have happened a long time ago. Because we know that if at any time, I mean, I just say there has never been a time like this one, where we see that there is so much ignorance out there, and that it's a shame that people throughout the United States do not know about our history and our contribution to these United States of America. Amen. Because if they did know, then our president could not get away with the attacks on Mexicanos the way that he has been doing. So we need a lot of academics. We need a lot of people to know what the contributions of Mexican people have been to our, and Latinos have been to our society. And we have to make sure that in every single school book, it is taught to our children at the kindergarten level. To tell them about the big civilizations that existed with the Mayas and the Aztecs and the Incas, you know? When many of the people in Europe were still living in caves. They don't know that. And that, you know, our descendientes, that they had astronomy and they invented the zero, you know? People don't know that. So we have to make sure that we start getting that into not only here at the University of New Mexico with this academic program, but we get this in every single school starting with kindergarten. Right? So I think we have to make it our mission so that we can have Chicano studies, so we can have women's studies, right? Labor studies, the contributions of our LGBT leaders also, in every single school. So our mission has to be to erase the ignorance in the United States of America. And I know New Mexico I always think, I'm a Mexican, right? I'm from there, okay? And I don't know how many of you saw the movie Dolores. And in the beginning of the movie, there is a picture of a man, and they didn't identify him, I'm sorry about that, named Ed Roybal. I'm going to tell you about Ed Roybal. Was in California, in Los Angeles, California. He was the first Latino to be elected to the City Council of Los Angeles. He was the first Mexican American to be elected to the U.S. Congress from California. Why is that important? Because he was from New Mexico. And I think he has a relative around here, Patricia Roybal Caballero. That's Roybal's cousin. So I mention this because I think that New Mexico, when it comes to the culture of voting has always been at the forefront. And this is one thing that we really want to really promote, the culture of voting. Because a lot of, especially our younger people, they don't think that voting is important. And they have to understand that it is only the people that sit in public office that make the decisions that change the policies. That change the policies. So we can march like we did today. We can protest like we have in the past and in the future. But if we do not get good people elected, nothing changes. Nothing changes. And this is the year 2018. This is an election year. You have a lot of great candidates running here in New Mexico for different public offices. But you know what? Let's look at the congressional seats, because we are going to build our own wall. But our wall is going to be in the U.S. Congress. Sure that we get progressive Congress people elected so that no matter what comes out of the White House, we can stop it, okay? We can stop it. So when people think about César, and they think about the huelga, they think about the strikes, they think about the boycotts, they think about the marches, but one of the things that César always did was make sure to go door to door and register people to vote. People don't know that. In fact, when he finished his second fast in Arizona, César started at the Mexican border in Arizona, went throughout the whole state of Arizona, leading a voter registration drive. After that voter registration drive, they got the first Navajo elected to the Arizona State Legislature. They got the first Latino elected to the Senate of Arizona. African American woman elected also to the legislature in Arizona, and the first Latino governor to the state of Arizona. And I just want to mention this history. So I want to just say to all of you, please, in this election season that we have, I want to ask all of you to please, not only do I want you to vote, I want you to go out there and be sure and volunteer to campaign. Okay? Whichever candidate you choose, please go out there and campaign for that candidate. Go out there and knock on the doors. And this is what gives us the courage when we talk to people that we don't know. When we talk to people that we don't know and we are encouraging them to vote, that really makes us stronger. But we're also doing something very missionary. We're spreading that message of democracy. We're spreading the message of power and making people understand that you can make the difference, because we are the majority. All of us are the majority. And if we all go out there and get good people elected, that we're going to win. But if we don't, if we stay home, if we're decidiosos, lazy, you know what I mean? If we're out to lunch, we got to get in there and we can make the difference, okay? We can make it happen. So it's very, very important. Very, very important. I get off the stage, I just want to say thank you again for inviting me to be at the celebration. I also want to say how can we stay in touch? DoloresHuerta.org on the website. You'll find out about the work that we're doing on grassroots organizing. As you all know, I left the Farmers Union 15 years ago, but we continue to work at the community level, organizing people so they can have power. We recently had 3 big victories with our organizing down there in Bakersfield, California. That's hee-haw country. We are now in 10 different school districts. We're stopping the school-to-prison pipeline. We're in 3 different counties in the Central Valley of California, Kern, Tulare, and Fresno County, and we just won 3 big lawsuits. One against our Kern High School district for suspending and expelling African American and Latino children. We sued them and we won. We're also suing them on redistricting, and guess what? They're going to draw a new line so we can get Latinos on the school board, right? And we just won another lawsuit together with Mexican American Legal Defense Fund on our board of supervisors to get more Latinos on the board of supervisors, okay? So, and we do all of this by organizing and by voting. And so this is what we do. Everybody, we got to take the power, okay? We got to take the power. Get good, progressive people elected. So I'm going to ask you all a question. I know you know the answer, but I want you to shout it really loud. So loud that the neo-Nazis and the alt-right, the KKK, all of the haters, okay? So that they can hear us. So this is my question to you. I want to ask you, who's got the power? You already know, okay? But we have to do it all together. So I'm going to say, who's got the power? I want you to say, we've got the power. And when I say what kind of power, I want you to say, people power, all right? Okay, so let me ask the question. Shout it as loud as you can. Let's go. Who's got the power? What kind of power? Are we going to go out there and volunteer on these campaigns to get good people elected? What do we say? ¿Se puede o no se puede? All right, okay. So now, to commemorate Cesar Chavez, our great leader, let us say a big oh viva for Cesar Chavez, okay? Que viva Cesar Chavez! Que viva los emigrantes! Que viva the DACA students! Que viva la mujer! All right, let's go out there and organize. Sí se puede. Thank you very much.
All right, what an inspiration, huh? You know, this is it is a true history moment. We are very proud, you know, those of us that have been in this committee for 25 years now, we really appreciate, you know, our dream was always to have Dolores, and now she has her own park. I hope you guys go and visit. It's right over here on Isleta and Bridge. It's the Dolores Huerta Park. And soon we're hoping to have a mural not only of Dolores but also Cesar and Larry Itiliong, the great Filipino leader. So that's, and thanks to the mayor for agreeing to help us and all that. Now it's time to honor this year's awardees. We have 3 deserving individuals that had worked for so many years in this community, and at this time we're going to introduce the first one. So Irma will tell you a little bit about our female awardee.
Gracias, Chuy. Our Dolores Huerta Award goes to Dr. Dali Alcantara. Dali is a lifelong advocate for social justice, veterans, and children's issues. Dr. Alcantara is committed to continuing the legacy of Asian American and Pacific Islanders. She reminds us that Filipinos were key contributors in the farm labor movement, marching alongside our Mexicano sisters and brothers. She founded the Filipino American National Historical Society, Rio Grande chapter, and serves as a trustee of the national organization. In collaboration with Tricklock Theater Company, Dali and her husband, Ted Hohola, established the Manoa Project, an annual teen playwriting competition and ensemble entrepreneurship to honor their son Manoa. She founded the New Mexico Asian Family Center and served as the volunteer executive director and grant writer for the early years. She facilitated the passage of the Senate Joint Memorials that created the Asian American Day and the Veterans Day at the state legislature. Dali is currently the director of the UNM Geospatial and Population Studies. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce Dr. Dali Alcantara.
And now Dolores will present the Si Se Puede Dolores Huerta Award.
Oh, I don't know how to do this, but anyway. Thank you, Dolores Huerta, for showing the way. Thank you to the young Asian Americans for believing in what I do and having faith. You hear me? And having faith that will give up on you and future generations of Asians and other people of color. Thank you, Filipinos, Asians, and veterans for the opportunities you have afforded me. This award is both humbling and inspiring. It humbles me to know that I have big shoes to fill. I am very well aware there is more to be done. I'm very well aware that the fight for social justice and social change is for the long haul. I'm very well aware that it takes not just 1, 2, 3, but 7 generations, as my husband Ted Hohola advocates, to bring a sea change, to create a compassionate society where everyone, every generation has a voice. The 7 generation models does not mean 150 years from now. It is now. The 7 generations start with you, parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents. After you, your children, your grandchildren, and your great-grandchildren. All of this comprise 7 generations. For change to happen, every single one of this generation has to have a voice, and we need to hear all of these voices. I am inspired to see that Dolores Huerta continues to fight for social justice and equity. I am inspired to see many young people working towards a just and compassionate society. This darkness that is upon us now, it too will pass. The next day dawning is full of hope for as long as we all put our heads, hearts, positive energies, and spirit towards the same vision. The next day dawning portends a compassionate and just society for as long as the currently oppressed peoples do not become the future oppressors. Lest we become complacent and overly optimistic. This new day dawning may take more than our lifetime. What is important is we contribute to the cause in every way we can now. The roadmap has already been set for us. All we have to do is follow and lead the next generation. Let us continue to fight, fight, fight for what is right, just, and compassionate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deli. Oh my goodness. What an inspirational speech. Now, the next award goes to, well, this is one of our own members of the Recuerda César Chávez Committee. And the reason that we are giving him this is not only because he's been a member of the Recuerda César Chávez Committee, but he's also a native New Mexican, and you know, Michael Casals, by the way. You know, when we talk about Michael, we always think that everybody knows him because he's been such a leader in this community. So Michael is a native New Mexican and has been in the environmental advocate and a community organizer. He is the lifelong farm workers and labor leader, educator, and the grandson of Mexican immigrants, and the great grandson of dryland farmers from New Mexico. He was raised as a proud Chicano with a deep sense of place. As a student organizer, he was a leader in support of immigrant worker rights and in defense of affirmative action and Latino studies programs in campus. He was the field organizer and manager of the Sierra Club and has worked in clean energy and environmental justice, and also reconnecting kids with the outdoors. Currently, Michael serves as the Wilderness Society of New Mexico State Director and was the leader in establishing the Columbine Hondo Wilderness in the Rio Grande del Norte and Oregon Mountains, the desert peaks of monuments. You know, these are the monuments they wanted to cut off. Michael has been working very, very hard to preserve those monuments. I mean, it's amazing his work in this state. He's been an active volunteer with the Recuerda César Chávez since 2006. He served 6 years as a co-chair of the committee. When he's not fishing or camping on public lands, he is gardening or going for walks with his wife, Naomi. Where is she? All right, and our newest member, Santiago. So, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Casals.
Thank you so much, Chewy, and my thanks to the Recuerda César Chávez Committee, who just do amazing work over 3 months to organize this series of events. I'd like to share this award with my family who traveled to be here today, with my wife, Naomi, who's been with me all the way and is my rock. I also want to share this with my newborn son, Santiago. And it's such an honor to get this award, but to get it in the presence of a living legend, our hero, an inspiration to so many, all of us, Dolores Huerta. It just makes this award so much more special. It's also special to get this award on the 25th anniversary of César Chávez Day. I've been thinking about the anniversaries we've celebrated, or that we've marked over the past few weeks. We marked the 50th anniversary of the murder of MLK Jr., whose principles of nonviolence César Chávez shared. We also marked the 52nd anniversary of the long walk, the marcha that César and Dolores led from Delano to Sacramento, over 300 miles over 29 days, that began with less than 100 people and ended with over 10,000. And when I think about these anniversaries, I often think that yes, it's a time to celebrate like we are today, and that's very important. But it's also a time of reflection, to reflect on the past struggles that we've endured, and to reflect on the victories that we've achieved. We can't forget the victories that we've achieved. And in addition to celebrating and reflecting, I think it's also a time to think about the future. And at this very perilous time in our history, this is a time for all of us to come together. Not only today, but tomorrow and the next day and after that. Because it's only together that we're going to get through this. And we're going to get through this stronger. So I think we need to put aside our past differences that we may have and really focus on our shared values as New Mexicans to make this state and this country a better place. So I also think that it's time to come together and use this energy to say no. To say no to the militarization of our borders. To say no to ICE causing fear and chaos going into businesses and rounding anybody that they see in the store up. It's time to say no to this border wall. It's time to say no to fracking on our sacred sites like Chaco Canyon. And instead it's time to say yes. Yes to community. Yes to everybody coming together. Yes to work with dignity. And most important of all, let's say yes to love. Thank you very much.
All right. Isn't that beautiful to honor our leaders? We got one more award. This award, of course, goes to a young person. The University of New Mexico needs to also acknowledge the students. And today we have an extra award to the UNM student, a well-deserving award, and for that Ivan, are you going to present? Well, what an appropriate name. César Chávez is going to present or talk about our awardee, César.
Hello everybody, thank you for having me. Yeah, it's a beautiful coincidence, I would say, especially nowadays. And I'm proud in carrying that name, and I'm proud in carrying everything, and working obviously for farm workers and doing all these social events that are happening. So, on behalf of the César Chávez Committee and Farm Worker Awareness Week, I want to grant the Youth Award to Melina Juarez. Big round of applause. So, I'm going to speak a little bit about Melina. Melina Juarez represents the face of resilience. She has struggled against all odds and has succeeded to achieve very high levels of education in spite of the fact that she comes from a humble upbringing. Her academics have not only been strong on research and education, but also on advocacy on national and international issues that affect migrant workers. Her scholarship has benefited and extended the understanding of the LGBTQ community, and her involvement in student groups have been in a leading role, always willing to work and extend her work to other students who need strong leadership and support. Melina was born and raised in a small rural farm community in California's San Joaquin Valley. Her parents are Mexican immigrants from Guanajuato, Mexico, who have inspired and pushed her to continue her education. She received her bachelor's in political science from California State University, Stanislaus, and completed her master's in transatlantic politics at the University of North Carolina. Chapel Hill Her master's thesis explored South-North immigration with a focus on Mexico, US, and Morocco-Spain immigration issues. Her thesis analyzed push and pull factors of immigration policies, and the politics behind reclassifying immigrants as economic refugees. Along with her academic work, Melina is also an active part of her community. She is part of the Raza Graduate Student Association and various grassroots organizations and campaigns that tackle issues relating to immigration, immigrant rights, ethnic studies, and education access, and LGBTQ issues. The Farm Worker Awareness Committee has had the pleasure to work with Melina over the past 3 years, and she has demonstrated she is knowledgeable in current farm worker issues, but takes the actions necessary to make the change. César Chávez exemplified the belief of being the change you want to see happen, and Melina lives that every day. There are many young people who are inspiring the youth, and having to choose one was difficult, but Melina is deserving of this recognition, as we see her as one of the future leaders in the United States and beyond. So now I want to present to you Dr. Melina Juárez.
Thank you. ¿Se puede? ¿Se puede? Thank you everyone for this amazing award. Thank you Dolores for all of your work, for inspiring not just my parents, but new generations and the generations to come. I also want to thank everybody at the Farm Worker Awareness Week, the RCC, the Recuerda César Chávez Committee, everybody that's organizing, keeping our people moving. And I won't repeat everything that everybody else has said because I agree with literally everything they've mentioned. So I just want to end with reminding you to boycott Driscoll's. Thank you.
All right, muchas gracias. Are you guys ready for more music? Well, guess who's coming up? Oh my goodness, you guys are lucky to be here today. Actually, aside from having Dolores here, we have a man that you probably will recognize from the, well, he's more well known for his forming the theater group Teatro Campesino. Many of you know who Teatro Campesino is. But besides that, he was also a lead actor in Sutsud. You remember the movie Sutsud? One of my inspirations as I was growing up, you know, I took some workshops, theater workshops with Teatro Campesino when I was young. He was one of those guys that was always there to lend a hand. My inspiration, and we always wanted to have him here. Not only that he is an actor, he is still an activist in so many ways, but he is also a great musician. Some of you remember him from the, Canciones de mi Padre with Linda Ronstadt, his album Mestizo. I mean, so many wonderful, wonderful, beautiful things that he's done in his life. So ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome
Danny Valdez.
Buenas tardes. How you doing? Are we awake? Well, it's a real pleasure to be here. And it's been a wonderful thing to be able to come here to see all this activity, especially around César Chávez. It's a very important day. You know, I joined the farm workers strike in, when I was 17 years old, and I never left. My whole upbringing was in Deleno. It's part of the farm workers strike. So I've known Dolores and César for a very long time. We started a group called Teatro Campesino. Luis Valdez, yes. We're still alive. We just celebrated our 50-year anniversary, and we're still going. We're the third generation of teatro members. Ahí va. Huelga en general. Hasta México ha llegado la noticia muy alegre, el heno es diferente. Pues el pueblo ya está en contra de los rancheros y engreídos que acababan con la gente. Y como somos hermanos, la alegría compartimos con todos los campesinos. ¡Viva la revolución! ¡Viva nuestra asociación! ¡Viva huelga en general! El día 8 de septiembre en los campos de Deleno salieron los filipinos. Y después de 11 masas para iniciar la batalla salieron los mexicanos. Y juntos vamos cumpliendo con la marcha de la historia para liberar el pueblo. ¡Viva la revolución! ¡Viva nuestra asociación! ¡Viva huelga en general! ¡Viva la huelga en el fin! ¡Viva la causa en la historia! ¡La raza llena de gloria! La victoria va a cumplir. ¡Uy! ¡Viva César Chávez! Nos dicen los patroncitos que el trabajo siempre se hace con bastantes esquiroles.